Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kasterborous. My name is Christian Corley. Later on today, I will be joined by Gareth Kavanagh, who will be appearing alongside me via video chat, of course, and we will be discussing this incredible news that is that two missing episodes from the Daleks Master Plan have been rediscovered, as rumoured, and returned to the BBC, and these two episodes are going to be appearing on BBC iPlayer this Easter. It is absolutely fantastic news, and it came as a little bit of a surprise. Now, James isn't with me today. He's had a wisdom tooth extracted, and I did want to make a joke of that. Maybe that's where they found the missing episodes, but I wasn't really able to form it into the correct phrasing. But I think it's very important that we talk about this. So I'm going to go through the report, tell you about the details, and then I'll be switching over to my chat with Gareth. So I got this information first thing this morning from Philip Bates of the Doctor Who Companion, and I literally could not believe what I was reading. The strange thing about this is that over the past few years, the BBC have made massive announcements. They made big build-up announcements that haven't really amounted to anything tangible, certainly where the end product is pretty minimal. This was released on BBC Leicestershire's website in the middle of the night. No fanfare, no build-up. Now, as I say, it was something that had been rumoured for months, that there were newly discovered missing episodes. But there was never a date on it. So the fact that it's just landed when it's landed is incredible. So the BBC reported from East Midlands just after midnight, a cardboard box found in a collector's ramshackle collection of vintage films contained 2 episodes of Doctor Who that have not been viewed since airing in the 1960s. Now, this is the best bit about it. Peter Purves was present at a screening at the Phoenix Cinema in Leicester on Wednesday. And he was lured there under false pretenses. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really good for him because he's in his 80s now, and this is some of his very early acting work. And as he talks about, he wasn't really sure whether he was going to be on the show for any period of time. The article continues that the episodes feature the first incarnation of the Doctor, as we know, William Hartnell, tackling a Dalek plan to take over the solar system. Peter Purves said, "My flabber has never been so gasted." So the episodes found are The Nightmare Begins, which is the first episode of the Daleks Master Plan, and possibly the most important. And there's also the second recovered episode, The Devil's Planet. The Nightmare Begins is episode 1, Devil's Planet is episode 3. Day of Armageddon, the middle episode of the 3, was found in 2004, which means we now have the first 3 installments of the Daleks Master Plan intact, more or less. This was, of course, a serial written by Terry Nation along with Dennis Spooner, starred William Hartnell, Peter Purves, and also it featured Adrian Hill as Katerina, Nicholas Courtney as Brett Vion, and Kevin Stoney as Mavic Chen. Now, this has been presented thanks to the work of Film is Fabulous, which is based out of Leicester's De Montfort University. And Professor Justin Smith said that we travel all over the country to recover film collections from private hands. A lot of the films suffered water damage and the cans had corroded. These are gems in what was an eclectic and ramshackle collection, a lot of which hadn't been looked after as well as the Doctor Who had. The collector did recognise what he had, but how he acquired them has been lost to time. And Peter Purves, incidentally, Peter Purves was the very first person I interviewed in life, not just for Kasterborous, although it was email only. But it was a very interesting conversation. I will represent that soon if I can find it. It's quite some interesting thoughts that he had on Doctor Who back in 2005. Peter Purves, who's now 87, stated that he'd been lured there with a perfect lie and said he was speechless and knocked out. I've never forgiven the BBC for losing those episodes. It would be really nice to get a few royalties. I'm not even sure those I'm not even sure I saw those programs go out originally. I remember the stories, but having seen them, the pictures are unfamiliar to me. I didn't remember the first one when I was almost comatose following the injury I received fighting in Troy in The Wonderful Mythmakers, which of course is missing. Looking back, he said, it was just a job. It sounds silly, but we did an episode of the program each week. In the year, I did 46 episodes. It was great fun and was great to be doing a series that was hugely popular. But it was a difficult time. I won't pretend it was easy. The cast kept changing and it seemed a bit of a time of flux. In the 2 episodes we've seen, there was a great performance by Nick Courtney playing Brett Vian. I was concerned very much that he was there as a replacement for me. Oh, as it happens, he got killed in episode 4 or 5. And he expects this to reignite some interest in the early seasons of the show. It was the 4th appearance of the Daleks, and it'll be exciting to fans for a lot of the reasons, he said. The fans of Doctor Who are legion, and they seriously love the classic times. I'm astonished these 2 wonderful episodes have finally turned up. So many of my episodes are missing. It's heartbreaking to me. I'm absolutely thrilled, and maybe I'll get quite a few invites to conventions and various things. These episodes will be available for us to watch on iPlayer in the near future at Easter weekend, which is amazing because previously these things happened and maybe you'd have to buy them on Apple Podcasts or wait for the DVD to come out. Or in the case of Tomb of the Cybermen, I think it was a VHS. Today, we're a matter of weeks away from being able to watch these via BBC iPlayer, which is absolutely brilliant news. Okay, so now joining me is Gareth Kavanagh, who, you know, if you're a regular, you know Gareth Kavanagh, you know all the stuff that he's been doing. You should know all the stuff that he's behind, his little kind of puppeteering of cutaway comics and the rest of it, and the stage productions and audio stuff. Hello, Gareth.
Too kind. Hello.
I've dragged you out of a comatose hangover to discuss the...
You have. You have. So I had a brilliant night down the ale house last night, and yeah, you know, I'd had a particularly rare day. Nothing had gone right, so I'd gone right pub. So I'd had a good night in the pub. I'd got home. I'd kind of just switched off for the evening, like Crichton, and then I'd reactivated in the morning and gone, oh, bloody hell, you know, feeling a bit rough. And then I was like, what?
Yeah.
Dalek Master Plan? What? It's just the most unexpected Friday morning, you know, news I can visualize on a Friday.
It is a bit crazy, isn't it? I mean, as I said to you a few minutes ago, I just got the news very by surprise. I think Philip Bates from the Doctor Who Companion sent it to me at about midnight, but I was flat out at midnight. I didn't get it till 7:10 this morning. The thing about this is, and, you know, we've talked about this many times in the past, the whole missing episodes thing, the thing that used to be called the Omni Rumour. You went to the event at I think it was the BFI in 2013.
It was a I went on the Kasterborous ticket. It was a fancy hotel in Soho with like a private screening room. It was quite something, and so it's always been a thing of interest. And I ended up chatting to, I don't think Phil Morris was there, but Phil Morris's father-in-law was there.
Okay.
And it would appear the interview I did with him was the only time anyone ever spoke to him. And I think that's been passed for knowledge, you know, as is and sifted thousands of times, as is the missing episodes thing. So yeah, it was a special day, but God, I mean, it's amazing to think that's 13 years ago.
Yeah.
That feels like yesterday. It really does. And I remember that was a great buzz that day, and now it's happened again.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about this, isn't it? Because there was always the suspicion that other episodes of the Daleks Master Plan were in a collection somewhere, wasn't there?
Yeah. Did you know it's one of those that's been going around for 8? I mean, there's a few things to unpack here. The first is that we knew that something was coming back at some point, but no one actually said, oh, yeah, it's going to be Dalek Master Plan, apart from, I think, people kept saying, oh, it's 10th Planet 4 and Dalek Master Plan 4 because they were nicked by Blue Peter, which I don't think they were. So it must be them. And I remember thinking, no, I'm not sure about that. But no one had actually said, oh, yeah, it's Dalek Master Plan. So it goes to show that, to be fair, these guys can keep a secret very well.
Oh, yeah.
They're very good at it. But no, it's... So Dalek Master Plan appears to be... Everyone thought it's very unlikely to come back because it had never been sold abroad. The Australians rejected it because they had to make too many cuts because it was too violent. So because if Australia didn't buy it, no one else bought it because Australia, I think, paid most of the rights. So they would pay like 90% of the rights, and then what was left was paid by, you know, if Zambia wanted it, or you know, or Jamaica wanted it, then they paid relatively little. But if Australia didn't pay a big fee, no one got it.
Right.
And I'd had a chat with John Preddle, the brilliant John Preddle. I see him every year in Gallifrey, and I bend his ear over a pint, and we always chat. And there was a rumor a few years ago that it was sat in a bonded warehouse in Australia, that it had been sent but not returned, and it was just sat there, and that this was like a kind of Raiders of the Lost Ark style, you know, thing filled with treasures and gold and Dalek Master Plan 1 to 12.
Yeah.
But John had always said, no, I've looked into that. No, there's nothing in that. So, but God, there seems to have been so many copies of this floating around in various film studios, and you know, and there's a suggestion that these ones that have come back from the labels are cutting copies, which means that they're part of the technical process, as I understand it.
Right.
Which means that they're internal copies that are done for quality control, I think is the suggestion. And so this opens a whole new area and source of episodes. So, God, yeah, I mean, exciting, unexpected, thrilling. And we all get to see them.
Yes, that's the best thing, isn't it?
3 weeks. Yeah, they're not sat on them.
I mean, I suppose in that regard, there's not really much they could do if they did sit on them, because there's nothing else they can release them with. So they did really have to put them out, didn't they?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everything's going to get animated eventually. So they could have just shown them at the BFI and released a clip and gone, good news, the animation will be out in 2029 or whenever, and you'll be able to see them for the first time. I mean, that's a bit mean, but the BBC did sit on the 2 that came back in 2011 for quite a while. You know, they basically got BFI screenings and that was it. Although, funny, the Underwater Menace leaked. Everyone had it. I remember going to Sci-Fi Weekender, or whatever it was called, the SFX Weekender.
All right.
And this guy came and sat with us, and he was a bit, you know, he was a bit of an energy vampire in many ways, but he said, he just went, oh, I'm going back to my caravan to watch Underwater Menace 2. And we were like, what? Oh, yeah. He said, some bloke in Australia sent it me in return, as long as I get Brian Blessed's autograph for it. So it was doing the rounds then. It leaked. Yeah. It leaked all over the place. So it's not inconceivable that they wouldn't sit on them, but I think it's brilliant that they've let them out. And do you know what? I'm probably going to give Russell T Davies the credit for this, because he's the Whoniverse iPlayer is his baby, it's his creation. And I guess, you know, he would have said, yeah, let the people enjoy 2 bits of Dalek Master Plan for Easter.
Do you think, is that it now? Do you think, are we going to get any more?
No, I think there's more.
Yeah?
I think there's more. I think they've more or less been saying that they've got 4. They think there's 4 to 6 Hartnells. So another 2 to 4 to come back. You know what? It'll probably end up being another 2 bits of Dalek Master Plan, and then something.
Well, law of averages.
Yeah, would suggest.
Yeah.
God, it's a funny one, because Dalek Master Plan's an odd old beast anyway. What's interesting is we're going to have most of the first half of the serial now, which I think is quite gritty and James Bondy, and then the second half, which is just, you know, killing time with the monk and exciting adventures in Egypt and time and space.
Yeah.
You know what? I think if we were going to get stuff back, I could lose all that. I mean, if it was a hard choice between having stuff from the beginning or having stuff from the end, I'd have to say, based on listening to it, the beginning is good stuff, gritty stuff. It's I think it's going to be good telly. So there we go. I mean,
it does kind of it does kind of. You do, I mean, and it almost feels sacrilege to say this, but it does kind of lose its way if not in the second half, then certainly midway through the second half. Daleks Master Plan.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, nothing's essential after the Christmas episode, which obviously isn't essential because that was never included when they were trying to sell it. You know, that is like one of those, you know, Christmas specials of Are You Being Served, basically. Yeah, it's the second half is basically the chase too, with the monk thrown in for good measure. I'm sure it's good fun, but it's not really essential. I mean, pretty much you could. I'm pretty sure you could compress everything that happens in those 4 episodes into one, and not really lose anything. So it is the very, you know, definition of filler. But no, this is good news. And Master Plan's always got, you know, it's got good world building. I think the design is going to be good. I think we're going to see brand new things because there's no telesnap, so it's all new. Yeah, new old Who. It's exciting, isn't it?
It is. I'm just looking at the list of particularly William Hartnell episodes where we've still got missing episodes. The Myth Makers is I really want to. I've never bothered listening to the Myth Makers because it was the first target I got.
Oh really?
And
that's a strange one.
Oh God, yeah, it absolutely. I'd struggled with it. It really put me to sleep, which is why I never wanted to listen to it. I've always wanted to just watch it.
Yeah,
just to find out what was going on in that novelization because I really struggled with it.
It's, you know, I think I didn't care for it as a kid. It looked like one of the boring ones, and we had no real pictures of it. But it's undergone this kind of renaissance, the Myth Makers, in recent years. It's you know, it's really been cherished and celebrated. You know, Toby Haydock did his podcast, you know, sort of almost like most wanted missing episodes.
Yeah.
And I think the Myth Makers came top, which would never have happened.
I mean, that would have happened like 30 years ago, would it? No, definitely not.
No. But I think that's one of those where the well, there's no animation yet, but there will be. I think it's one of those where the audio's coming back and being cleaned up. And it seems to work quite well on audio. You know, it's quite witty. You know, it's got quality to it, and it's unexpected. And like all of them, you know, it's like all of Donald Cotton's. It's like sort of 3.5 episodes of jolly fluff, and then a massacre at the end, a savage, brutal massacre, and it's like, ooh, that was bad.
Yeah. So
it's. Yeah, I mean, it's more season 3, which we don't have much of. Yeah, it's. You know, I mean, you can tell I'm in shock because it really is just so unexpected.
Yes, lost for words, Gareth Kavanagh.
I know. There we go. What rumours had you heard then about what was coming back?
My rumour knowledge is minimal. Philip Bates told me something a few months ago that he'd heard, which was roughly along similar lines to there being an episode and clips, and that we were getting something, but he didn't know when. So this is a bit more than that, but there's no specifics given by him. And I mean, I follow the whole thing quite closely, and Film is Fabulous, those guys and what they're doing, and
the heroes, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's like all these lovely social media accounts of people sharing tins of film with no labels on, or obfuscated labels or whatever. So there's always that whole side of things. But I'd never really had anything that I would consider to be a solid rumor, and like a solid lead. You know, it's all rumor. So I'm, as I say, I mean, I'm to some extent like you. I'm a bit shocked. There isn't really an awful lot I can express about this at the moment. I'm really looking forward to seeing them at Easter. Really.
Yeah, that's right. We will disappear from whoever we're with on Easter. Is it Saturday? I guess it's Saturday.
I think it's Saturday, yeah.
and go into our little cave for 50 minutes and then come out and go straight on the internet and go, amazing.
Well, there'll be the inevitable, well, that was shit.
Oh.
Those guys.
Well, do you know, it is one of the peculiar things about, I think the missing episodes weirdly has helped keep Doctor Who alive. You know, Star Trek, everything exists. So by now in 2026, everyone has a pretty crystallized view of what they like and what it's like and if it's any good. And, you know, these are things that we genuinely don't have a firm opinion on till we see them. And I mean, let's be honest, Galaxy 4 Part 3 comes back and everyone goes, oh, that was all right, and then never thinks about it ever again. Or, you know, I liked Underwater Menace too, but I can see it's not for everyone. And that comes back and you go, well, all right, you know.
Yeah.
Or people will go, I wish they'd found Mission to the Unknown instead.
Yeah.
As if you can sort of cosmically order something like Noel Edmonds.
But this was the thing. I mean, even with Tomb of the Cybermen, there was people that, I remember seeing comments on Reckhart's Doctor Who and probably on Outpost Gallifrey as well, saying, I wish they'd left it lost or whatever. It was better lost so we could fantasize about it.
Well, you see, that's just insane.
Isn't it?
Mean, it's insane. I mean, every episode that comes back gives us something new. I mean, look, let's be honest. The least exciting episodes I could imagine coming back are the missing two of the Reign of Terror. Because the Reign of Terror, we've already got 4 episodes of it. It's not brilliant. It's very kind of Sunday serial stagey. That is least, and yet there is stuff in those 2 episodes we have no idea about. There's stuff in those, you know. There's what's his name, the War Chief is in it. There's Ronald Pickup as a doctor we never see. So, you know, I mean, I would sit down less excited if they went, good news, the Reign of Terror is now complete. You know, I think we'd be having a less breathy conversation about that going, but then we'd be going, well, isn't it nice? It's completed it. Isn't it nice for Carol Ann? She can sit down and watch it, you know. But the reality is that, that's low tier recovery, but I'd still be all right with that. You know, if we got another piece of Galaxy 4 back, which, you know, irony of ironies is probably what we'll get, would we be that excited? Would we be hammering on the door of the BBC to release it? I think I could probably wait until it came out on a release, but it'll have stuff in it. It'll have things in it. There's always something. Yeah,
there is. The thing about Daleks Master Plan as well, I mean, it has a bit of, because of it, the title and the fact that it's 12 episodes long, it has that kind of, it has an element of, it has like that epic mystery element to it as well, which is, and it's obviously it's been recreated in many times. I mean, Rick Lundin did a comic book adaptation, graphic novel of it. Loads of people have attempted to do different things. I'm guessing there must be like an unofficial animation of it as well.
I think Ian Levine has redone it. So he'll have to go. It'd be interesting to compare them now, actually, now that once they all exist, to go, you know, what did you get right and what did you not get right? So it's, it's going to be animated.
Yeah.
I remember chatting with Gary Russell about it, and he said, I know exactly how I'd do it. He said you would put myth makers with Mission to the Unknown. So you got Daleks in that set. I thought, that's quite clever. He said, and then you'd do the rest over 2 sets. So you'd have 3 sets with Daleks in. And I thought, that is quite clever, actually. So we're going to get it. You know, I can't imagine. The only things I would imagine that we're not going to get is if they've got a strong lead on something existing. You know, in other fact, they know it. So let's say, for argument's sake, they know where the 2 missing episodes of the Crusades are. Then they're not going to animate that. Because why would you?
Yeah.
Because you know it exists. You just got to wait. So it's exciting. It's I mean, what a strange thing this Doctor Who fandom is. You know,
it is. Well, I mean, you mentioned Star Trek earlier on, and that whole existing, and we've got this kind of we've got this little running thread of missing stuff. It's like a parallel narrative of missing stuff. And then the series being on air and then not on air and then on air, and the missing stuff. and then the series off air, and it keeps us interested, doesn't it?
It's on your toes, isn't it? That's for sure.
Yes.
You know, and Star Trek's a good comparator, because I'd imagine that is now completely, there's no new discovery to be done. That's it.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yeah, it exists,
We have this wonderful, tantalizing glimpse. And, you're a tech journalist. I reckon that you would be able to put serious odds that in 10 years or 15 or 20 years' time, the software packages will exist that will take what we have and turn out, a near transmittable, perfect recreation of missing episodes.
I should think, I mean, this is something that James and I have actually talked about previously. There was someone was putting clips on the interwebs of some Cybermen reconstructed from, I think, possibly from 10th Planet. Can't quite recall what it was, and it looked amazing. And I've seen other bits and bobs, but they've been like largely engineered, I think. Jonathan Helm, who's done Doctor Who magazine work, he's got a great Substack and social media accounts where he shares some great reconstructions of Space Pirates special effects. I absolutely agree with you. Down the line, probably, I would say sooner than 15 years, but I mean, by then, definitely the technology's there to just
it's going to increase exponentially, and we'll get it. And weirdly, having, we're now up to nearly 50% existing of Dalek Master Plan.
Yep.
Then that's so much data for these packages to work with, to just extrapolate what's left. So exciting times, I mean. Absolutely. And I love the way these things come back. It's like, we're all getting older, aren't we? And it's nice to have things to look forward to. Before Doctor Who came back in 2005, I remember I'd left one episode I'd never seen, which was The Faceless Ones Part 1. And I thought, I'm not going to watch that because there'll always be something I can watch. So I don't think anything's coming back, because it didn't feel like it at the time. And Doctor Who looked dead on the telly, and I thought, well, I'm okay with that. I'd been through all the grieving stages for the show, but I left this one little time capsule for, I had visions of me on my deathbed going, bring forth the faceless one, when my eyes can drink in the majesty. And when you watch it, it's bloody awful. It really is not great Doctor Who or television, and yet it had a mystique for me because I left it there. So I mean, the weird thing is with the new show, there's now about 5 episodes I haven't seen because I missed them when I was going out on transmission, and I just haven't bothered. I don't think I've seen the Lion and the Witch in the Wardrobe Christmas thing. I think there's about 3 Jodie Whittakers I missed, and I'm all right with that.
But they exist. You can go. You can watch them when you need to, when you feel like it.
Yeah, it's me being cranky. So there we go. My last day. I remember. One of the most wonderful stories I was told, I used to get on very well with Philip Martin. And when he died, his daughter rang me up and said he'd gone. It was quite sad. But he was basically given 24 hours left because he was on a miracle drug, and the drug stopped working. They said, well, it stopped working. We can't do anything for you. So they planned a fantastic final day. And, all the family was around, and they cooked, and they talked, and they laughed. It sounded wonderful. But in his final 24 hours, Philip made time to watch 2 episodes of Succession, not 1, but 2, because he thought that was the greatest show ever made. So to spare 2 hours out of his last 24 to watch Succession, I was like, what a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy. So, if I'm in that situation, I suspect I'll be watching these bits of Doctor Who I haven't seen. It might be great. It might be disappointing. I don't know. But yeah, so that's the grip that good television can hold over us. And 2 more episodes to watch.
Yep.
Real.
Yeah.
Down to 95 missing now. Probably 9. I always think it's 94 technically, because I'm Phil Morris is adamant that Web of Fear 3 is in Australia. That it was pinched to order.
Is he still adamant on that?
Yeah, well, I haven't spoken to him since the Starburst Film Festival. But when I asked him about that, he said basically how it'd been nicked and which courier office it had gone from, and that he tracked it down to a PO box in Australia, and then the bugger won't let us have it. So, I mean, that's okay. You know, I hope he's older than me and in poor health, because eventually I'll get to see it. If he's fit as a butcher's dog, and younger than me, well, I might go to the grave without seeing part 3, but it's okay.
You know, we're winding up now, but there is probably a question here to ask. Should the BBC, I mean, I don't know the machinations of this, but is there not an opportunity for the BBC to offer bounties on these?
It's been tried before, but the problem is, how do you bench a price on this? You know, if you say it's 25 grand, someone will go, I want 50. If you say it's 50, someone will say, I want 100. I don't think they can.
Right.
I don't think they can. I think what Film is Fabulous is doing, is really clever, is they're not just cherry picking. They're saying, we will have the lot. Yeah. It's all important. You know, it's not, we bring forth your Z cars and you know, and it's all good stuff. I mean, I would hope that they found some Out of the Unknowns, or you know, all kinds of great stuff and ephemera. So what they're doing is clever, because they're dealing collector to collector. They're not just going, yeah, that's all rubbish, I don't really want it, but I would quite like that episode of Doctor Who, and that Benny Hill show. They're you know, they're doing it right.
They are doing it right. And I mean, now's probably the best time to mention that they do need donations, because there is a lot of work that they're taking on by just what Gareth's just described. It's a massive project.
They do. And do you know what I would suggest? I think if we were buying those episodes, like what they did on Apple, you know, where we all stayed up till midnight to buy Web of Fear. And I think I steamed through all of them till about 4 in the morning. And I think I paid a tenner. So I think those 2 episodes are worth a tenner. So I think it may be worth donating a tenner to Film is Fabulous, and just thank you. Say thank you, give them a tenner, and let the work continues. And who knows? It does sound like they've got another, they've got more to come.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is great.
Excellent. Well, that rounds up this chat. Gareth Kavanagh, thank you very much for joining me on Kasterborous.
Pleasure.
Well, that's the end of today's Kasterborous. Thank you very much for watching. This has gone out on Patreon first, with video and audio. If you listen to the podcast on Spotify, you were probably expecting a different episode, the second part of our chat about Robots of Death. Well, because this is such big news, this is a week in which you get 2 podcasts. You're getting the second part of the Robots of Death commentary, and you're getting this as well. That's all for me for this week. I'll be back soon, hopefully with James. Until next time, thank you for listening, and it's goodbye from me.